everyone, and welcome to another episode of Public Opinion Tea Time with your hosts, Pam and Vanetta. Hey, Vanetta. Hey, Vanetta, what is in your cup today?
I have passion fruit.
Passion fruit. Well, I have chamomile lemon green tea, and it is organic.
Organic. I
Yes.
thought most teas were organic.
No, they are not.
I thought they were.
Some are organic and some are not. All right. So, Vanetta, today we are going to be talking about what everybody's been talking about, and that is the Russian skater Kamila Valieva. And I hope I said her name right. It sounds right, like I said it right.
Mhm.
And she was recently tested. Well, she tested positive for a medication that is for heart patients. And she tested positive December, I think it was December 25th.
December.
It was
Yeah.
in December, but she was allowed to continue to compete. And then there was, she won, I believe it's a gold. Well, she's supposed to be getting maybe a gold
Yes.
medal, but
I
they're
mean, it wouldn't have come up if she hadn't medaled.
right. And so anyway, so there was this whole investigation and a determination. She went before a board and they determined that they were going to allow her to continue to compete. And they may not have an actual ceremony though.
No, they're not. It's
Right. So
regardless.
they're not going to have a ceremony, but she's still allowed to compete. And so now the big thing in the news, and rightly so, the young lady who was the track and field person who was in the Olympics, in the Summer Olympics, is upset. And her name is Sha'Carri Richardson. She's upset because she tested positive last year for marijuana. She was suspended and she wasn't even allowed to continue to practice.
Right. She didn't even
Yeah.
get to travel with the team. Well, but the big difference in this is she was suspended by the American officials.
Right.
Okay. And that's just a reflection of how there is still racism in this country, because I really do believe she didn't look like the person they would put on the Wheaties box. And that's why they did not go out so hard for her.
Right. No one was right. They weren't pushing for, her to have some type of absolution from this. They were just like, no, you weren't supposed to do this. So, but when I was reading about this 15-year-old, they said really what it has come down to is just this fact that she's a minor. And so they had some different rules for minors as they do for adult people. And
So
I think that's
take
ridiculous.
enhancing drugs all the way up until adulthood. Come on now. And the fact that they said she drank out of a cup that her grandfather
had.
They should be investigating that home for uncleanly health practices during COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's totally unfair. And what Sha'Carri's issue it was as well, her mother had just passed away and she
Mhm.
did not have an easy route to the Olympics. She had worked very hard to get there.
Yeah.
And this is not the excuse, but there is always a reason for everything, good or
Mhm.
bad. She was in a different state where it was legal when she
Right.
did it. And she was upset. She makes that admission. What will happen, and people of color will always receive, as a rule, the maximum in punishment for the
Right.
infraction.
Exactly. And the whole thing is really kind of ridiculous too, because Russia was suspended because of their doping, and now
But Russia said it's cool with us. Okay, send her on.
Right. And so she's not really technically a Russian, representing Russia.
Because they changed the name.
And then they changed the name. And I'm like, how you just change a name?
That's just like saying, I'm not from Cleveland. I'm from the suburb of. But I'm not from Cleveland.
Right.
Okay.
That is ridiculous in and of itself, because the Olympics is supposed to be countries coming together, putting forth their best players in competition. So what country is she supposed to be? There's no country called just the Russian Olympic competitive team. That's not even a country. That doesn't even make any sense. But anyway, like you said, there's always going to be this double standard, a disparity, and it just makes no sense that they would make an exception for her because of the fact that she's a minor. She's still competing. They're not making exceptions for her in the competition itself. So if they're allowing a minor to compete against adults, then they need to hold her to the same standards that everybody else has to be held to. I understand making particular concessions for her to say, oh, well, she has to have a chaperone or something else that
Right, and she stays in a different dorm.
that she has to
I
stay
understand
apart.
respect.
Yes, because that
That
would
has nothing to do with it. You let her compete
exactly
on that platform at the highest level of the sport. If
right.
I were competing, I would not compete because I would feel like it's unfair that I don't have the opportunity to receive a medal. So if I became silver, am I waiting to believe I'm gold?
Right.
And if I became bronze, am I waiting to believe I
Yeah.
will be silver? You know,
Yeah.
it's unfair.
It's unfair.
Anticlimactic for everybody involved.
It is. It's unfair for the other competitors because they need to know that they're going to be able to compete on a level playing field. And if she is allowed to continue to do this, then they probably could have said, well, shoot, what we could have taken something, or it just doesn't make sense.
My granddaddy has a bad heart. Okay. And the thing about this with the Olympics, it's all subjective. It's if she hits her points and all that, it's not as if the speed, like Sha'Carri, it was a matter of speed. This is all subjective.
It is.
I don't like it at all. If I had a child in the Olympics, I would be protesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's unfair. So we're going to see what else happens. But you're right. It's just there was nothing fair about it as far as I'm concerned. Nothing. But if you enjoyed this segment and if you enjoy watching us discuss hot topics in the news, continue to watch us. And you can tune in on Facebook at Public Opinion Show. We are also on YouTube, and we have a podcast, and we are available wherever your favorite podcasts are broadcast. So thank you so much. And until next time, we will see you for another episode of Public Opinion Tea Time. Bye-bye.